Good evening, everybody. It is what's Wednesday? Wednesday, June the 2nd, 2021, and it is time for our next installment of TED Treks here on Live Long and Podcast as we continue our mission to watch every original series episode of Star Trek, not in order. This week's episode, we're covering season 2, episode 16 or 19, depending on what order you go in. A Private Little War from 1968. And next, I'm Dave Mader, by the way. And next, let's bring in the namesake of this podcast, my dad, Ted. How are you doing tonight, Dad?
Doing good. Here today.
Are you ready to talk about A Private Little War?
Yep.
Do you fear the bite of the Mugato?
I don't want to be anywhere near that thing.
No, you don't want to get near that thing. You got to watch out for the Kanautus as well. The medicine. Nona, Adam Woodward, bringing in next. How you doing tonight, Adam?
I'm good, thank you. Another month, June. We're here.
We made it. We didn't think we'd make it, but we made it, and here we are. And here's a cat. Hello, kitty. Siamese, perhaps.
Yep.
What's her name?
This is Dana Scully, and she is deaf. And yeah, she's deaf, so she just makes a lot of noise.
Right on. Is there a Mulder?
No, we don't have a Mulder, but my kids were heavily into X-Files at the time we got her, so that's the name.
Yeah. All right, next let's bring in panelist Jody Simpson. How are you doing tonight, Jody?
Hello.
We're here. It's the Private Little War. It's the Klingons and the Federation having a little proxy war, Jody. And there goes the cat.
They are.
Kind of like the Americans in the U.S. in 1968.
Yeah, this is a screenplay or a teleplay by Gene Roddenberry. By the way, so let's get into this episode. Maybe get some initial reactions on this one. Just coming in. Let's start with Dad. What do you think? What was your feeling on this?
A mini version of the U.S. and Vietnam, South Vietnam versus China and Russia and North Vietnam. It's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's a pretty obvious allegory, and so and what was your sort of reaction to that? It was like, oh, I'm kind of into this, or whatever.
Take it.
More the latter. It sounds like
Yeah.
Didn't. No, none of us. We're broadcasting from Canada. Let's maybe go to Adam next. Adam, how are you feeling about this episode? And what did it connect with you or not?
Yeah, there was lots in this episode. There was the parallel to the Vietnam War and the Cold War, but also the Garden of Eden and biblical parallel as well. So with
snakes in the gardens.
Yep, snakes in the gardens in the form of phasers and flintlock guns. Right,
and allegories to even Vietnam. They were talking. They directly reference it. Over to Jody. Jody. This episode, A Private Little War, thoughts?
I think it's a good episode for the most part. The only thing I can honestly really critique it for, well, there's a bunch of things I can critique it for, but the big thing to critique it for is there's just too much going on, which is odd for me to say about a original series episode because usually there's not enough. But there was definitely a lot going on in this episode. There were so many kind of little things happening. So
yeah. It's packed.
It very much is. Yeah.
There's not a lot of filler, not a lot of there are some fight scenes that have varying lengths, but just on the premise of the episode, just to break it all down, so it's a planet that's pre-war. This is a planet that a young Lieutenant Kirk had visited in his younger years, perhaps on the USS Farragut. He had been to this planet before. It's called Neural, and it's sort of off limits. They were just like developing basic, like maybe metals and things like. They were just getting into the Iron Age on this planet when he was last here, and there's sort of even treaties with the Klingons that this is kind of off limits. You're not supposed to mess with the development of this planet. And also this planet that they're now visiting. I guess this is a follow-up visit. that you must beware of the dreaded Mugato. Rah! Was it Jody? How did you feel about the Mugato?
I knew he was going to ask me first. It's 60s Star Trek. It looks like a gorilla with an ice cream cone on the head, but you got to work
A
with
mighty horn.
It's got quite a horn on it. Yes,
it's got fangs with poison.
I think the biggest problem with this creature is the fact that it pretty much walks exactly like a human being does, which to me, like you knew right away when you saw it. It's like that is a human being in a monkey outfit. So it would have been nice if maybe the person who played that character maybe did a little bit
some different movements, perhaps.
Maybe yes, but again, it's a creature, and it's a creature on a budget show, and you know what? It's decent. I think good enough anyway.
You're saying I'm willing to give it a D-, maybe a little bit better.
C-, maybe. Yeah.
C-. Okay, pretty good. Adam,
compared to some of the other characters, yes, absolutely.
The Mugato. Okay,
so I think they could have used something else and got the same point across with the poisoning of it, but all in all, it was fun. I'm always like, would something like that really have evolved on a planet with humans? I don't know. I just think it and so vicious, but
very predatory.
Very.
This could have been a descendant of one of the tribes.
The blonde-haired guys, for sure. The surfer dudes.
The guys with the wigs.
Yeah. So yeah, it was good. It was a good little fight, and he had this creature could take on Kirk, no problem. He had him down and was ready to kill him.
Dad, did you think this was scary?
Well, probably back in the day, yeah. I don't remember this episode from me when I was a kid, but it's not too often that Kirk's on his deathbed, Spock's on his deathbed, McCoy got shot in the arm.
Yeah.
All in a matter of like 10 minutes.
Scotty's trying to arrest Nurse Chapel for assault.
Yep.
Later on.
That's a lot going on here.
But that gets to one of the things that I liked about the episode was the fact that I didn't hear a lot of Spock, which was good. I got a lot more McCoy than I got Spock, which is I always welcome that, even though I'm not against Spock. It's nice to have that character be seen a little bit more. But yeah, the whole slapping thing, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, is that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and from the moment that Kirk and the group here, like after they find some Mugato footprints, they say, "Oh, these are a few days old. We don't need to worry." They notice that there's this other group on this planet. They're called the villagers, I believe. And the villagers were carrying flintlocks, like old muskets, right?
Yeah.
And Kirk's like, that's not even possible because they were nowhere close to that kind of technology when I was last here. This shouldn't have happened. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And then he notices that Tyree, his like somebody he had formed a bond with when he had been here 13 years earlier, and who I guess knows, he sees that they're going to directly walk into a trap set by the villagers, and so and Spock's like, "What are you doing, man? You can't get involved in this."
Yeah, because he pulls a phaser out and he's ready to shoot them, and then Spock's like, "You can't do that, Captain. That's expressly forbidden." And it's like, and Kirk's just like, "Shut the fuck up, Spock."
Yeah.
But anyway, fine. I'll use a rock.
Yeah, like
I'm pretty sure there's something in the charter that says don't throw rocks at them either, but whatever. I guess that's okay.
Yeah, he's like, well, I'll throw a rock, and that's better than using my phaser. I'm like, well, I guess it is, but it's still probably not
in the grand scheme of things. Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, they beam up. Okay, they run away from the villagers after that, and they beam up just kind of in time. But Spock got shot in the back.
Spock got shot. They didn't beam up in time.
And what do you think of that acting? That fall was something. I had to go watch it again.
I watched it 3 times. When he got shot in the back, and that guy goes flying. And,
I clearly am not a fall enthusiast like you two because I did.
It was good.
he
didn't
turned
even
into like a
pause this
rag
episode.
doll. At one
It was
point.
like he was shot in the spine, Jody, down like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I was like, what the heck? And like, yeah,
Well, he had green blood on his back and on his front, so it must
Right,
have went right
but
through him.
that kind of gun. I don't know a lot about guns, but these
No,
kind
I
of primitive muskets wouldn't do that to somebody, would they?
Just in lodging his, it would be like in his back.
It was like he got hit with a
There
shotgun.
would be an exit wound.
Yeah, it was.
Nothing
It
that
came
far
out. It
away.
came out the front. There was green
They
blood on
they
the.
shot little balls, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
not
they didn't even
aerodynamic or
have
anything.
rifling yet.
No, it's like getting hit with a rocket high velocity. Like that's pretty much what
Yeah,
happens.
but anyway, well, it
Either
hits
way,
Spock
it sucks. Let's put it.
It could kill you.
It could kill you. Lots of people
Oh,
died with
absolutely.
those.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Once they get up, there's kind of like this whole triage scene where like they really start working on. We get to meet Dr. Mbenga, who's another of the doctors on the ship, along with Chapel. They kind of start along with McCoy. They all kind of start operating on him right away. And
He's
Kirk's
Black
like,
McCoy. Let's just call it for what it is.
he's Black McCoy.
Black McCoy.
Well, he's this other.
He's
doctor.
McCoy's counterpart when he's not there.
Well, he's another doctor.
I think he's a relative of Daystrom.
Of who?
Of Dr. Daystrom. I don't think he's played
Oh,
by
maybe.
the same
Maybe. You never know.
guy. Brooker Bradshaw plays this character.
He was in other stuff too because he looks so familiar.
He's in another episode from the 3rd season called That Which Survives, which I don't think we've actually watched on this show.
No, but I think he was in like TV shows around the time period.
Yeah, he was in the Mod Squad.
Mod Squad.
Was,
there you go.
He was in Bracken's World.
He wasn't a
Familiar.
star, though.
Skullduggery, different things. Anyway, so they're starting to work on him, and Kirk's really like panicking. He doesn't have Spock now. He's kind of like it's like his right arm's been removed, and
Yeah.
he kind of goes up to the bridge. And what I find interesting too about this whole period before he kind of returns to the planet with McCoy is that now Scotty's his first officer. Now that Spock's kind of really like out of the picture, and it's kind of a unique situation on the bridge. I thought I was kind of fixated on it because Scotty's kind of counseling him on, well, hey, there's a Klingon ship now in proximity. We don't really know what they're doing here.
Situation report. Yeah.
Kirk's already starting, I think, to suspect that the Klingons could have given these like muskets to the villagers on the planet.
Well, that ain't too hard to put 2 and 2 together on that one. Like, you know, you have a Klingon ship who isn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
They're all talking to Kirk though on the bridge, and he's getting. You can see he's getting pissed off.
Yeah, he's just like, I want Spock. I don't want to talk to you people.
Yeah, that's especially with Uhura. Like,
for your theories.
At the beginning, they're all giving. I didn't ask for advice.
yeah, I didn't ask for advice. It's like, but isn't that kind of their job?
Yeah, is it your job to listen to what they say and then decide what
you're
to
supposed
do?
to like obviously go with whatever decision you want to make, but it seems so out of place, especially when like Uhura starts talking, he instantly is in there. Like he's like basically like, shut up, Uhura. You know?
Yeah, well, Scotty too. I mean,
Yeah, Scotty as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, well, they also point out that he's like, yeah, there's no way they could have developed these guns in those years. He's like, it took us 12 centuries. He's like, well, they're like, that doesn't mean it would take them that long. And they're like,
They're not human.
yeah, they're not human. He's like, shut up. Stop telling me I'm wrong. There's no way these Klingons are involved. He's already like kind of got that in his head. I don't think Kirk makes a lot of good decisions in this episode. Maybe this.
No. I agree.
Anyway, but he kind of decides he has to kind of look into this more. So he goes back to sickbay. And then there's Mbenga and McCoy and Chapel. They're all working away. But turns out Mbenga is like a Vulcan expert. He's like, you know,
of course.
Of course. So McCoy's free up to go back to the planet because like Kirk's like, I need to get away from Chekhov and Uhura and Scotty being annoying, telling me what to do on the bridge. So I'm going back to the planet to figure what's going on. You're coming along with me. This doctor can handle things.
I liked the backup doctor. I thought it was a good character.
Yeah.
I did too. I thought he's
Yeah,
McCoy's the chief medical officer. He's not the only.
And I liked how he talked to Nurse Chapel too. So
Yeah, he's like, do whatever he says. Like if he tells you to.
yeah,
But
if
doesn't
he tells you to do anything, just do it.
But
She's like, what?
he'll probably ask you to hit you, but I won't tell you that part.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you that part.
I think it'll be funny when we talk about it later.
Yeah. Remember that time when you had to slap the shit out of Spock? Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. So they go back to the planet.
Wait. Before they go back, they change into local garb.
Yes.
Yeah, we need like these. What are they wearing? Like skins? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like a skin kind of like.
It would
was
be
almost
great.
like chic Neanderthal. Like
it would have been great if they got them those wigs.
That would have been amazing. Imagine Kirk in one of those wigs.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be.
Everybody looks like
giveaway?
a pompadour.
they don't have that.
Same with McCoy. My God, the two of them would be.
Oh,
awesome.
McCoy, and that would be amazing.
Don't they have these little like things on their foreheads too? This species.
Oh yeah,
They do, but they didn't bother to put those on.
Yeah, that wasn't part. Like you can't get that done.
But that could be like a ranking thing, right? Like it could be like a rank.
It could be decorative.
Like it could be like an insignia thing. Yeah.
Like they're not born with those on their face.
I would assume not.
All right.
But you never know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Star Trek. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
That's kind of where I'm going with it.
Well, I guess I do.
But
yeah.
Dave definitely cares.
Yeah, Dave cares. It's costuming.
It's costume.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyways, they get down there with their new costumes, and then Kirk's attacked by a Mugato. It's quite the vicious attack. Anyway, McCoy takes it out with the phaser.
Does anybody think that the name Mugato isn't really all that menacing? Like if I hear Mugato, I think of like Mogwai from like Gremlins. Like the little tiny furry guy. Yeah. Just to me. It's
I think if they could have done this with more modern effects, like something more terrifying.
Oh no, I think the character's fine. I think the name's.
It was supposed to be called Gamato, but McCoy couldn't say Gamato, so they changed it to Mugato.
Oh,
all right. The G and the N got inverted. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
But if you look at the closing credits of the show, it's called Gamato.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Maybe there'll be something about that in fun facts.
There might be.
Maybe.
So after he vaporizes the Mugato.
Not stunned it, vaporized it.
Just vaporized it. Yeah, it just took it out.
Or it's just gone.
Are there settings between stun and like vaporize, like just kill, like regular kill, the body's still left?
I would assume there is.
Yeah, well, McCoy was like having none of it. He goes right.
Crank it up.
Crank it up, baby. Let's do it. Cook that Mugato.
Put this puppy on 11.
Yeah. But right after that, they're discovered by like, I guess, Tyree's people, like the hill people find them. And McCoy's like, come on, man, help me save them. But they're like, I guess. All right, let's do it. Then we meet Tyree and his wife, Nona. And she's saying like, we got to get the guns, Tyree. What did you guys think of Nona and Tyree?
Tyree was dumb. I didn't like that character at all. Nuri was interesting. A lot more, in my opinion, a more powerful woman character than we see a lot of the times.
Interesting.
It looks like she can hold her own. It doesn't really matter. She can fight, all that stuff. So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good strong model there.
We've definitely seen, I don't know why, but in our pickings of the last, because we're no particular order here, but we definitely see some strong women lately. But for me, she's definitely good looking. But the dark hair, you wonder right away, is she a spy from the other side?
Well, I think that was done on purpose too, because because she's part of a select few, right? Like they're the witch doctors of the planet, right?
She's a Kana Utu.
Yeah, you almost get the idea that maybe she's like the third species. Like she's
it says that they are the female members of the hill people who are trained as healers.
Yeah, so there's trained. So yeah, you kind of wonder about the I assume it's a wig. The wig that's on her. You're wondering why she's not matching the other ones.
Yes, she was feeding Tyree, her husband, a lot of drugs to control him, including some catnip of some kind, I believe.
No, that wasn't catnip.
I don't know, what was it?
I don't know, but it wasn't catnip. That was some sort of space weed.
It was a space
jazz cabbage.
Yeah. But her whole point, I guess, throughout this episode to Tyree is like, hey, like they're gonna kill us all unless we like start fighting back. And he's like, no, we're a peaceful people. We don't. That's not our way.
Well, and you actually get the impression that she's much smarter than he is too. Like that's the impression I got.
Mm-hmm.
Much smarter, but also this is where the the Eve comparison drops right in. Tyrese, I think is right. Tyree, thank you. He's the classic Adam. I'm happy in the garden. I don't need any more.
Oh, I see. He's Adam. Right.
Yeah, and she's the sinful one. She's the one that's going to bite the apple.
She's the one. Yeah, bite the apple. We got to dive in here, and this is the comparison there. I think she's the Eve that needs to break, and take that plunging and make them risk their innocence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never got that on the first go around, but yeah, that makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah. So while she's like making out with him and using her weed on him, they're interrupted by the scout Utan, who's like kind of like Tyree's number 2, and he says, "Hey, Kirk's here, and we need your help." And he's been stunned, and then so McCoy's heating up rocks with the phaser in the cave, I guess, to help him.
Well, he has to keep him warm because Kirk's in shock, right?
He's in shock. Okay, got to keep him warm. I'm not a doctor.
Well, they even said it in the episode. He's got to keep him warm. That's why he was like tucking him into the blankets and all that.
There you go. He was tucking him into blankets, heating up rocks. However, using the technology a little willy-nilly in front of these people. In front of Nona.
Yeah, and she got the eye on it.
She got the eye on it.
It's like, look at that magical thing that heats up rocks.
Right.
I bet it's a weapon.
Right. And then she does but she's like, if you want me to help him, you got to tell me what kind of person he is. So Tyree has to come clean to her about kind of how he knows Kirk from 13 years ago and whatever else. And then they have that whole scene. Dad, what did you think about the scene where she used the Mako root to purge the poison from Kirk?
Ooh, that was pretty interesting. The Mako root, it moved.
Yeah, it looked like a little animal.
Yeah, it looked like an animal. Yeah, that was interesting.
And she cut her hand. Remember, like she cut her hand, and then that was healed by the end of it.
And the cut was gone. Yeah, and Kirk was fine, and through all this, McCoy just sat there and watched.
He had no idea what the hell was going on. He was completely out of.
When that kind of shit would be happening, he'd be going, "What do you want? What do you want?"
And this gets to one of my first gripes about this episode is like we start off almost with the promise of this is a McCoy and Kirk episode. Then they knock Kirk out for a while, so then you're like, okay, it's a McCoy episode now. And then nothing happens with McCoy, and then they get Kirk back up, and then now it's a love story Kirk thing, right? So it's like it's almost like they kind of pulled they pulled it over my eyes there because I was hyped up for a more McCoy centric episode, and then I didn't get it. Yeah,
he's in the episode a fair bit, but
he is, yeah.
But yeah, hey, this is Star Trek.
But as Ted says, yeah, but as Ted said, like literally, he was just there. Like it's like you wanted a little bit more from him, I guess. Like he's a doctor, like you would expect him to be doing more than that.
Did you enjoy the whole thing about McCoy's humbled? But this is medical technology. This is something I don't even understand.
Sorcery.
What's it? Yeah. Huh? Like McCoy should know. He has a tricorder with him.
I would think as a man in medicine, you'd be very curious to see how this is all working. You'd be right in there. Like,
you would be like over her, right over her shoulder.
How did you do that? Because like the guys he's facing, like, it seems like McCoy's having to deal with like plagues and illnesses a lot. You'd think that maybe he'd want to learn something, maybe take some of these roots back to the ship with him,
Yeah. Well, Well, he says, I would like to learn more about this. Whether he does or not, I'm not quite sure.
Well, they're
But-
busy.
Yeah. But then there's this whole thing that
attack
that no man can refuse a woman who has done this or whatever. That's the legend. That's how this scene. She's like, he is mine now. I control him. Like kind
Wow.
of like a voodoo doll or something.
Or kind of like the tears of that other lady that
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ted. Yeah, there it is.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
let's be honest. To this credit, every woman controls James Kirk. Like,
Until he has to leave for his next mission.
yeah, until he's got to go to the next mission. Like, you know,
But he's able to fight off these spells.
He's married to the
Yeah.
job. He can't he
He fights
be
off the
into any
spells.
one woman.
Yeah.
Speaking
But she's pretty good. I don't think that's a bad choice.
No,
I'm with you on that one, Adam.
The only thing about her that I don't think they needed to have the hallucinogen that she used to control. I think she could have just done that with herself, her own
just by being
her own
manipulative.
sexuality and manipulative. Yeah, for sure.
This girl could have jumped in bed with a whole sleeve of crackers, crunched them all over the place, and she wouldn't have got kicked out. Like, let's be
But why
honest.
was it okay? Here's the most important question about that whole scene, though. Why was it important that Tyree play the drum while she was doing it?
It's like a witch doctor thing, I guess.
Is the drum part of the medical science, or is it more of like a?
I think it's just it's the scene. It's the
That might be the weirdest question
Part of
you've
the
ever asked.
I just want to know if it's the secret ingredient in the process, or if it's more just like, no, we just like to do this for kicks, like boom, 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 boom. No, okay.
Maybe he had to keep a beat.
Yeah. Speaking of which, up on the Enterprise, Nurse Chapel is holding Spock's hand as she watches him on the biobed. And Dr. Mbenga comes in and explains to her that Spock, he's using his mental powers to heal himself. That this is something more we're learning about the Vulcans, that they can kind of go into this meditation mode and use all of their brain power to
They have
heal
to basically fight to come back alive or something, is kind of what
Right.
he mentioned, right?
right. And
Something
he was
like
like,
that.
he can totally hear everything we're saying, and he totally knows you were holding his hand.
Then she's like, oh shit. Yeah.
Well, she's like, well, any nurse would do it. And it's kind of continuing this Chapel Spock romance, if you will, that was kind of
Well,
continuing throughout all 3 seasons.
Yeah, it was more her on him than
She was always crushing on him, but he
Yeah.
was kind of into her too. Because remember in Plato's Stepchildren that they were kind of like, he was like, I'm fond of you, Chapel. Christine.
Christine.
I'm
No.
glad nothing really happened of that.
Well,
That's
that
all
was
I
so
can
weird.
think.
That's when they did the J.J. Abrams movies and Spock ended up with Uhura. I was like,
Yeah, I was kind of like, meh.
I don't think he's meant to be with Uhura. I think
That's literally the worst thing about those new ones.
yeah.
But anyway.
Anyway,
there's nothing bad about the new ones.
What?
I don't know if I would say nothing's bad. About it.
What? Anyway,
Well-
that's another subject. Obviously, Adam, you've been into the jazz cabbage as well.
Yeah.
All right, back on the planet. Kirk and Tyree are reunited after he kind of comes to following. He's like, hey, I was attacked by a Mugatu, and here I am talking to you, and you must have found a Kanuwatu to heal me, Tyree. And he was like, yeah, my wife. It's like, of course. So they have a nice
Makes sense.
but then and then she's from the minute Kirk's up, she's like, we got to get the weapons. We got to get the weapons so we can fight these villagers so that we don't die. That's like she seems to actually have, I don't know, does she have noble goals, or was she actually going to sell out her people?
She tried to sell him out.
Yeah. So I guess that makes her a bad guy in the end, right? She was not.
I don't know why she wanted to sell
She-
him out. You think she'd rather want to kill him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think she was
see,
just
but that-
out for herself. Like,
No, but that's where I figure like she may have been with them, honestly. Because she was very quick to go over and almost hand over the phaser later in the episode, right?
But they
Right.
wouldn't
Well,
buy it.
yeah. Her whole fight with the villagers, which is maybe my least favorite thing about this, is that like it's she could have phasered them at any time
And she ended up getting killed in that.
in
Like-
that scuffle, and
She's dead, Jim.
She's dead, Jim, and Tyree wants to avenge her by the end of it. He wants to go to war over it, even though when a good man goes to war, like in Doctor Who. So
You think if they're going to go to war about anything, it would be over like hair products. Like these guys have
Surfboards.
like the biggest goddamn wigs imaginable.
right. What did you also think about like Tyree was like saying to her, "No, you're not in the meet. We're gonna have a meeting. You're not invited to the meeting." No.
Well, we're back to 60s Star Trek. Like,
All right.
like come on.
Jeez. Well, yeah. All right. Anyway,
Well,
so,
I also think it's to do with like, you know, we're gonna have a political meeting here, and we don't need your witch doctor here to influence us.
oh,
So maybe
You
they
know.
are separating. They're separating the witchcraft from the reality. I guess maybe.
well, she doesn't stay out of the discussion for very long. She ends up barging in anyway.
But what's curious here is like the whole Prime Directive again. Like I don't understand it. Kirk never follows it. Like he just doesn't care. And but
Well, he interprets it however he wants to.
It's a loose interpretation for him. Yeah.
But I guess the question is, when the Klingons show up, does the Prime Directive apply?
It should. It should still, or you should
Supposed
try
to.
to. Yeah.
Because they're now unduly influenced, right? So by stepping in, are you?
Sometimes you have to disobey the Prime Directive to survive, and I
Yeah,
don't
but-
have any problem with that.
Yeah, but then they could have just left the planet and left it alone. Like, what can the Klingons gain from this? That's where this story goes away. Like,
Yeah.
why are they there? There's nothing to gain. It's
because we need a Vietnam. There's no resource that we can
Well,
see.
and that's the thing. That's one of the things that bugs me about the episode is because there's no real reason why the Klingons are there other than to cause some shit. Like it's
Because you remember in Friday's Child when they were there. Well, a similar situation where the Klingons and the Federation are on this planet and they're at odds with each other, with the native peoples being sort of asked to maybe choose sides. And the only reason I can think that the Klingon the Klingons interpret the Federation to already have a relationship established with these hill people in Tyree. So therefore, we're going to establish relations with the other group of people so that this planet can be under Klingon influence one day.
Well, there's the Vietnam parallel right there.
oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But in the case of Vietnam, they were fighting over rubber, right? Like that was the resource that the country offered that made it worthwhile for countries like Russia and China and the United States to get involved in it.
wow. Okay. So my whole life, I never heard that. And I'm not saying it's wrong, Dave. I just like,
That's not the only reason, but that was one of them. Yes.
yeah. But I guess what they're just saying is like, why bother? Like, you know, and maybe that's the Star Trek parallels. Like, well, you know, here it is. This is just stupid that they're all here. But
It would be more interesting if they were fighting over Xenite or something like that.
Xenite with the gas that makes you dumb.
Yeah,
Get your head up in the clouds.
yeah, but you need it to save the life on a certain planet.
or dilithium.
Only if
Or
there's a
dilithium crystal.
botanical plague.
Yep.
You know, those good old botanical plagues. Yeah. Okay. So let's go. Yeah. Talk, because then we meet the villagers and my thing's all freezing. Hold on, give me a second. Refresh. That work?
Well, you weren't frozen for us, so
That's good. No. So we got to meet. Okay, we got to meet this guy. He was like the lead of the villagers.
this guy drives me nuts.
He
Right.
looks like a bad Sonny Bono.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Ted. when I
His
saw
name
him.
his name was Apella, and he was the leader of this group of villagers, and he was the one working with the Klingon. And his name, let's see if we can find. There he is. Yeah, Krell.
Krell.
The
He's a
Klingon.
good-looking Klingon. He's starting.
I assume his ridges are underneath his hairline
Well, he's one of those Klingons from the
that
the
they don't talk
Enterprise.
about.
Yeah, they
He
don't.
looks a bit like Kang.
He does look a bit like Kang. Yeah, he looks like he could be Kang's cousin. And he was. So we find out here. Yeah, the Klingons are giving weapons to these villagers, and they're kind of doing it slowly. they're like, every time we come back, we'll give you like a slightly more advanced thing. And I guess what the point here is that the Klingons want to influence this planet, but they don't want to get caught. Like this is
They want to make it look like a natural progression.
Yeah.
right, a natural progression, and that.
But we still don't have a motive as to why.
Just because I think they want to control the progression of this planet. They're playing the long game.
But for what?
Yeah.
Like it would have been nice to know that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they don't get enough into what the Klingons' motivations here.
Yeah, we have no idea why they're there other than to cause shit. Like that's it.
No, that's what they do. They're the bad guys.
Yeah, but it's still, they usually in Star Trek we get usually a reason why they're there. Like, oh, it's for, mining rights or, whatever.
Right.
So.
Well, in this whole thing, like, so Kirk and Tyree and McCoy, they all break in that night into like their little village, and he's like, they find all the stuff. They're taking the scans. They're like, only thing that we need now is like the smoking gun. We need the find the Klingon red-handed, and then the Klingon walks in like a second later, and I'm like, well, now don't you have all your evidence, right? Like, can't you, like, why wouldn't Kirk explains that he can't call Starfleet Command because he can't risk giving up this tactical advantage.
Yes, because the ship's in orbit.
The Klingon ship doesn't know they're there. So therefore he can't risk calling home to get orders. However, after this, he now has all this evidence that the Klingons are doing this. This would have ramifications on treaties and different things, but instead what he chooses to do is like, no, we have to arm Tyree's side to balance create a balance of power. That is the righteous, that is the necessary logical decision, but I'm not sure it is.
Well, I think the whole point is there's no right answer here, right? Because no matter what he does, he's really screwing this planet no matter what he does, because he either arms them equally, and they fight and they have wars, or he arms them superiorly, they fight and have wars, or he ignores them and they get slaughtered. So there's no real win here. Like, he has to go against the Prime Directive.
Why not take the guns away from the villagers? They could make more.
I never thought of that. That's a possibility, I guess.
The Klingons would give them more.
Yeah, I guess it's
and
assumed that they would just get restocked.
And McCoy is questioning Kirk almost away. He's like, I don't think the answer is giving them more guns. I don't think. And he's like, what happens if the Klingons give them more superior stuff? And he's like, then we'll do the same thing, and then it will just escalate.
But that ties into the Vietnam War that was happening at the same time, though, because the Americans were arming some Vietnamese groups. So like that it's literally the same thing. So it's I'm obviously that was drawn from that.
Well, I still don't get it. Like, why was that so important? Why is it important to Kirk here? Like, why is it important to the Klingons? Like, I guess we don't have a good answer either way, right? Like, it's kind of. But why was Vietnam important? I always thought it was about resources and money, but it was also about doctrine, right? And like philosophy and like communism versus capitalism and who's right.
To a degree, yeah.
Because there was also the Korean War, which was very much a similar kind of a
never officially in a war by according to the American government, but yeah.
Right.
That was
these are proxy wars. And this is this effectively breaks down to a proxy war. And I just don't like, if the Klingons and the Federation don't like each other, they can just fight it out. Like,
well, it's the same idea though, because one of the things that escalated the Vietnam War was the fact that the U.S. was arming certain groups, and this is the same thing as the Klingons arming one group on the planet. So it's literally a mirror of that. So makes sense. For the time and everything. It was a nice way to kind of show social injustice without straight up blatantly saying it.
Well,
which
Kirk,
is something Roddenberry did, let's be honest.
So okay, when Roddenberry wrote this episode, so he's kind of saying that like Kirk's like making the pragmatic choice here. This is sort of like, it's not a good choice, but it's the best option. Yeah. It's the best option under the circumstances.
It's the Kobayashi Maru.
You got it. It's a
no-win scenario. Kobayashi Maru. He don't believe in no-win scenarios.
Well, you better, because there is one.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's this whole thing with Kirk and Nona at the waterfall.
Yeah. Nah.
Yeah, and then they're attacked. Well, okay, by the Mugatu.
There was a track in the Mugachi, wasn't
As I'm
there?
listening to you guys, and I'm thinking more of. I thought way more highly of this episode, 42 minutes ago than I do now. I'm beginning to hate this episode.
You know what? I think it's episode wise, pacing wise. I think this is one of the best paced episodes that we've watched.
No, but you know what? It's just maddening. There's no.
It's frustrating because there's so much going on, and there's a lot of loose ends that make no sense. Like it's just like we have no idea why the Klingons are there. We have no idea what their motives are. That could have easily been thrown in, right?
And maybe it's just so simple as did the American public have an idea of why they were in Vietnam? Probably not in 1960, whatever year this.
Probably not, no, because it was all pro-America and blah blah blah, right? So it's I think it creates a very interesting social a social item.
Well, I didn't really understand why America was in Vietnam for a long time. I still don't like. I guess I understand it, but
it doesn't sound like you still do.
No, maybe not.
No offense, but
there
was a lot of things. Yeah, but you're right though. There was a rubber issue.
Well, I'm not implying there was only one reason. And
of course not. I'm just being facetious. Yeah,
but well, we skipped over a scene though, where Spock was kind of waking up from his hypnosis.
Oh yeah, that was a good scene.
And he says, Christine, strike me. She's like, what? And this is where Dr. Mbenga, he kind of set her up because he knew this was going to happen.
Well, he was like, I don't want to slap Spock. What happens if he slaps me back?
But he does slap Spock. He eventually comes in, and because Scotty comes in and subdues Chapel, and then he starts like really wailing on Spock until Spock's like, "That's good. Yeah. Like you got me."
And you have to give them credit because normally when they slap or like hit people, it clearly isn't making contact.
Yeah,
like the way that they shoot it. This one was shot pretty well. Like the over the shoulder shots with the Doctor slapping Spock, it looks like he's making contact.
Yeah, it was pretty
good. I remember watching it going, no, not bad. So that was good.
Yeah,
so,
it was.
Nurse Chapel slaps, however, were totally not making.
I was like, did Scotty just have
the best line of the show was when they're talking to Spock calls down, and McCoy goes, "You're alive."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was a good yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, duh." You're talking.
Well, it's almost like McCoy's like, "Oh, me and Kirk aren't going to be besties anymore."
He nailed him pretty good.
Or did McCoy not think that Dr. Mbenga would pull it off?
Well, McCoy's got a bit of a god complex to begin with, so it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
He's like, man, if I'm not there, the odds of somebody dying are going to go up.
So therefore, I must be alive.
Yeah.
Right. There's all this stuff at the end with Nona, the waterfall, the Mugatu. She runs off with his phaser. Yeah. She takes it to the villagers. The whole thing. She dies, and that's kind of
okay. The die thing I liked because they stabbed her, and she went down like a sack of shit, like literally right down. Right. I was like, great. Usually it's with Star Trek, it's like, oh, and then they have 10 minutes of lines and then they die. Right. She just straight out died. She's like, nope, no more lines.
They didn't even roll her over. Like McCoy didn't even be bothered.
Yeah. Yeah. She's just face down in the dirt and everybody's just like, meh.
She's dead, Jim.
She's dead, Jim.
I don't think he says he's dead, Jim. I think she
says she's dead.
He's dead. Yeah. But anyway, I'm just being picky. But yeah, no, I like that. The fight scene wasn't bad.
It was.
And we got to hear the classic Trek. Yeah.
Well, it was just like Nona, use the phaser. You have the phaser.
Hey, I thought I heard a bit of the Klingon theme in that.
I think so.
I think you might be right. Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a mix in there.
Well, it was definitely like that. Dun, 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 dun,
oh, that part was definitely there.
That was in
there.
That was
every time I hear that, I'm like, yeah.
But when they bring the ships in Star Trek the motion picture and that the Klingon ships, I thought I heard that in that fight scene.
Kind of citadel kind of thing. Yeah.
I have to find it, but
I know what you're talking about.
And the guy who stabbed Nona, this was him, right? And didn't Tyree like tracked him down and bludgeoned
great
him?
Hair. Great
Every
hair.
time I see this guy, I'm like, I'm the leprechaun. It's like, he just looks so happy all the time.
Yeah.
I think my hair would look like that if we had lockdown for another 6 months.
I think that guy clearly was on the Jazz Cabbage.
Not that dark though, Adam.
No, it'd be very gray.
Oh, shot
Yeah,
over the bow on that one.
So but Tyree was like
Me too.
Tyree was a peaceful man, but he was driven to war because he revenge.
Yes.
Even though no one was kind of a mixed bag, you know.
And the Garden of Eden falls.
Yeah, and that's the and then they eventually call up to Scotty and they say, "Hey, can you make 100 muskets for us up here?"
Aye, sir. And then he goes, "What?
What do you want me to do?
What do you want me to make?"
Well, the fact is, if you say musket to Scotty's gonna be like, "What the fuck are you talking about, musket?" Right?
he said flintlock.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Flintlock.
Yeah, flintlock. Yeah.
Right, but he's like serpents in the garden. Serpents.
The thing that I kind of like but also dislike about this episode is like literally the last lines of the episode, and it's like it kind of ends on a dark note. It's like there's no
Finally.
there's no like happy ending. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, there's no chuckle in the chair, and they're all
because
smiling.
usually it's like they got their just desserts or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
it's
that
always
just
something
makes
like that.
it, like, there's no win. Nobody feels good about this. This is just
But again, that could go to the social commentary, right? Because
Yeah,
the fact that
completely.
this is happening right at the same time, you know, and all this is affecting people, right? So
Yeah, he just says, "We're very tired, Spock. Beam us home." That's how it ends.
yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I remember that.
like you never see Kirk defeated. I felt like he was very defeated at the end of this one.
Yeah.
Well, you get the impression
Yeah.
he is, but you don't really
Yeah,
see it.
he almost died. Kirk or Spock almost died. They all almost died in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tyree was driven to violence.
Well, and it's funny because as I'm watching this, I'm thinking like, you know, the normal Star Trek, we always have that 10 minutes of why, you know. This episode really didn't have that. Like,
No red shirts got killed in this episode either.
What's that?
What's that?
No red shirts got killed in this episode.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So, but I like the fact that there was good pacing on this episode. I didn't feel I was bored at any point of the time.
I wasn't bored. I completely agree. It didn't feel like that 10 minutes was extra tonight.
So from a technical aspect of things, I think it's a pretty solid episode that way. The story could use some work, but the you know, overall, I think it's pretty solid.
Right.
Yep.
You want to hear some fun facts? We got some.
I got stuff queued up here.
All right, Jody,
Should I go?
You go ahead. I'm just.
All right. The Mugadu was called the Gumadu in the original script, but DeForest Kelley kept mispronouncing it, so it was changed. The closing credits still name the creature the Gumato. So there you go, Ted.
How many times did he actually say it?
Like
I
hardly
don't
at
know.
all.
Yeah,
Let me look it up because I can figure.
because he really couldn't come up with it a couple times. Oh well, okay.
He only says it once. No.
Oh, so this is interesting. Stock footage of the White Rabbit's footprints from Star Trek: The Original Series' Shore Leave was used as Mugado prints.
Yeah, McCoy only says the word Mugadu once.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently he couldn't say it. So, well, he couldn't say the original anyway. So there you go. So at around 17. Oh, sorry.
The sharpest knife in the drawer. Go ahead.
I didn't hear that.
Okay.
At around 17 minutes into the episode, this is the first clear close-up view ever of a sickbay panel. So there you go. The vertical scales are from left to right: temperature, brain, lungs, functional residual capacity in liters, and cell rate in blood. So there you go. Just in case you ever wanted to know what they were full of. Nancy Kovac's character Nona displays her navel, despite the folklore that broadcast standards prohibited showing such part of a female at this time. So there you go. You got to see some belly button action.
That was
Hot
true
belly
today.
button action. What's that?
Hot. It's pretty hot.
Yeah, she was a good-looking lady. Let's be honest. This
I'm
is
sure
the
we
first.
saw some naval. I'm sure we saw some naval in that episode where Scotty killed 3 or 4 women.
Well, he
Yeah.
didn't kill them.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That might have been after this episode. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the problem is we're not
Wolf
watching them
in
in
the
order, so
fold.
I don't remember what season's what anymore.
Wolf in the fold, eh, Dave?
Wolf in the Fold. I
Wolf
think that was
in the
season
Fold.
2.
I think that's season 2 as well, yeah. So first of 2 appearances by Booker Bradshaw as Dr. Mbenga, I can't say it, an expert in Vulcan physiology. The second appearance was in the original series, That Which Survives. So there you go. That was something Dave, I think, mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So the 2 episodes he's in, we're only 50% there.
So the person who played the ape was Jonas Prohaska, and he was the person who actually owned the suit, having acquired it from a previous film project.
You want to borrow my suit? You got to have me in it.
Yeah,
I
there
get
you
to
go.
be only I get to be the crazy Mugatu.
Oh, here you go. This is something we just talked about. This is the only episode in season 2 not to have a happy ending music. So there you go. Yeah, that's right, because they didn't even play the decent music either. It was like just sad music at the end.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, it was kind of like. Okay, so the Mugatu is the same suit used as a white gorilla in the movie Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Fatal Cargo, which is from 1967. And it was actually known as a Garbana, which was a cross between a gorilla and a baboon. However, it did not have the spikes on its head or the back either in those appearances. All 3 creatures were played by Jonas Prohaska.
What else did he, like? He looked. It looked
think-
like.
I think I saw that episode.
He also made the Horda costume. Like, remember that the space
the
lava
Horda,
rock?
yeah.
Yeah. that was-
yeah. Okay.
Yes. So that
Oh.
that was like his whole jam in Hollywood in the 60s.
Look
was
at
like-
this. We just mentioned Wolf in the Fold, didn't we?
Yeah.
So Nona uses the same dagger from that episode.
It did look like a similar curve on that blade. I thought
There
so.
was definitely a similar curve there. Krell's name was never mentioned, but it is shown in the script.
Krell,
There
the
you
Klingon.
Yeah.
With the eyebrows.
Krell, speaking of Krell, which is played by Ned Romero, also appeared in Star Trek The Next Generation's Journey's End as Anthora and Star Trek Voyager's The Flight as Chakotay's great-grandfather.
You did?
And of course, another fun fact, which seems to be a pretty running joke in season 2, is Sulu does not appear in this episode.
Who needs him?
That's always in there.
Green Berets were being filmed.
Yes, the Green Berets it was quite a long shoot for that movie.
Yes.
The planet they're on is named Neural in the script. However, the name is never heard in the show itself. There you go. I don't know how we knew that. How did we know that if it wasn't used in the script?
Gene Roddenberry somebody asked Gene Roddenberry what the planet was.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way.
So that's interesting. It is stated that flintlock would be the first firearm developed. In fact, it was a matchlock and then a wheel lock and then the flintlock. So
This
that
is
was
too good not to show. Okay, so this
that
guy,
was incorrect.
until you told me that a second ago, like that Krell, the guy who played the Klingon Krell was these other guys,
Mhm.
I was like, well, I have to look that up. And
Oh, there you go.
you remember, like, I remember this guy. He's from the Next Generation episode where the Maquis storyline started.
Yes, that's where it
It's the
started.
same costume on as when he was in the
And then he looks a lot like the same when
Yeah,
he's
except
in
he's got that
Voyager.
Chakotay tattoo going on here.
Yeah.
Could be even the same character. Who's to say it's not the same person?
Could be.
Because they
Maybe.
don't. Chakotay's grandfather could be.
They don't name his grandfather, yeah.
No, so could be.
Interesting.
Anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
No, that's interesting for
As I
people
was
who
kinda
follow
like-
Voyager.
Yeah,
He looks
because
identical.
I would not have connected the guy playing Krell with that episode of Next Gen like ever. So
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, you
This
can.
explains the wigs. An obvious reference to the Western classic cliche, well, it couldn't have been that obvious because I didn't catch on, of white and black hats. White hat equals good guy, black hat equals bad guy. The use of blonde hair for the good guys and black hair for the bad guys.
and that's why she has black hair.
That's why she has black hair. There you go.
He
Even though none of-
turned,
yeah.
So,
tried
there you go.
to sell them the.
I didn't even clue into that. I should have clued into that.
This is an evil black bouffant.
Yes, basically, yeah. Ooh, this is a long one. The original writer, Don Ingales, put a pseudonym Judd Krukix on it after Gene Roddenberry rewrote it. Ingales originally contained many more overt Vietnam analogies than it finally appeared. According to Adam Asherman, sorry, I'm having a problem with glasses today, the Star Trek Compendium, the script referred to Apella as a Ho Chi Minh style and the tribesmen wearing Mongolian clothes. Though friends with Rosberry since the days as an LAPD police officer, Ingales did not take to the changes, and the pseudonym was a wordplay on Jesus crucified. So use the cinnamon when he
It
can't say
seems
that
like
one.
it was actually a good choice, though, like to not make it Mongolian or Asian actors or even people dressed to be that.
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't think it matters as long as
Wouldn't it
the
be
actor can play it.
a little bit more on the nose in the way that Ingales wanted to do it?
Well, the problem is, I guess when you're writing a social piece like this, do you really put actors in that look of Asian descent when you're fighting a war in Vietnam right now? Like,
Do you
do
think
you
he
do that?
was he a bit dramatic with the use of the pseudonym Judd Crucis to say he's Jesus?
I would say so, yes, but
Yes.
that's just me. Anyway, past that, I don't think there's really much more to talk about on fun facts.
He also wrote the television 1979 Captain America film.
Oh, well, I can't say I'm praising him for that, but all right.
No. All right, let's get to some ratings, and thank you for these fun facts. All right, so let's bring this in
No
here.
problem, even though I didn't have my glasses.
Yeah, he did it. You did it without even being able to see, Jody. That's
Not only
impressive.
that, but I'm staring at my monitor screen. Like, this is the one that I use below my camera that I use for like scripts and stuff. So I can barely read it. It's so small.
Okay, well, we'll start with Dad. You want to tell us your rating?
Yeah, I'm not overly. I give it a 7.
7. It's fine. 7.5.
I started it's a 8.5, but I'm going down to 6, please.
Oh no.
Wow. Well, this is definitely a rare occurrence because I'm going with a 7. I completely agree with Ted on this episode. It's exactly where it should be.
It averages at 6.9, which is exactly what it has on IMDb.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so it averages at 6.9.
I don't regret seeing this episode. I'd watch it again.
I don't regret it. I liked it during it, but you guys just maybe don't like it.
We tore it to pieces, and we're like, this is.
Well, and sometimes that works in its favor too, right? So like I've changed some of mine. I've been like,
actually, I even texted Jody last night and said it was a decent episode. I said,
Yeah. I have the text somewhere here.
Yeah. Sorry to pull you down on it, man.
It's okay.
Directed by Mark Daniels, and we've mentioned not actually Jesus Christ or Judd Crucis. And would you say this is a Kirk and McCoy story? It's not really a.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, there's some Spock in there too, but I wouldn't say it's heavily Spock.
Oh, he had the best fall ever.
But he did.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that again.
Great fall by.
I don't remember seeing it and being all that excited about it. So, and usually I'm all about
watch
that.
it again.
I'm gonna have to watch it again just to be safe.
All right, who wants to pick the next one?
I'll pick it.
All right, Jody.
Can you make it bigger though?
Yeah.
The one there, the middle.
There we go. Okay. What do you guys feel like? A season 1 or a season 3? We can't keep
Whatever
doing
you
that.
see first, Jody. Just pick one.
Okay. Stop. Let's do Wink of an Eye.
I knew you were gonna pick that one.
Yeah. Season 3, episode 13.
Oh, it's gonna be a good. 13. Lucky 13.
Okay, and I just want to quick.
I don't know what it is though. I have no idea.
Wink of an eye. It's not really 13. It's probably 7 or something, according to Dave.
Yes.
Well, he has it as 13 right now.
Yeah.
It's actually episode 11. In an effort to repopulate their dying planet, the Scosalians hijack the Enterprise. Oh, I remember this one. This one's good. I like this one.
Sterile aliens who want the crew for breeding stock.
This is the girl with the hippie dress on. Yeah, okay. I know this one. Well,
Right.
I remember her. I don't remember.
I don't know this episode in the least.
I like the hijack episodes. I'm a big fan of hijack episodes
There's
because I like to critique and say why does the Enterprise get hijacked so much?
Who's the chief of security?
Do they not have keys for this thing? Like, is there not some way to stop them from taking over shit?
They do have transporters that could beam them right out.
Yeah, like so. I always like that critique.
Yeah.
Yeah, just open an airlock. You know, you're good to go.
Maximum dispersal.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up here with the and finish up for a private little war, either episode 16 or 19. And we'll be back in a week to talk about A Wink of an Eye, where there's apparently a hijack story here. Also, we do on Tuesday nights, we do Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatches, led with Jeff Mater over there and Kevin Millard, and we had Eamon Mater on last night, actually.
I saw that,
yeah. And then we do have Star Trek Radio Theater. We are taking a break this weekend, just to I actually am backlogged.
Catch up on editing.
I'm backlogged on editing, so that's my goal.
I might have to do another one of those soon.
Yeah. Well, we just had you on.
I know. I enjoyed myself.
That was a fun one.
I want to do one with Adam though.
With Adam, okay.
Yeah, Adam's got to be on as well.
All right. Well, we can cook something up there. Maybe an Enterprise episode.
All right.
Oh no, I'm down with that for sure.
Yes. Oh, hey.
Adam and I are gonna. I guarantee you. Our rewatch of Enterprise is gonna go through the roof on viewers.
Yeah.
People are gonna be like, "What's this Enterprise?"
There is a hunger out there for an Enterprise rewatch.
There's not a lot of.
We are going to bring it to the internet. You heard it here. All right.
Solely, Adam and I are gonna change the world.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey,
just go with it, Adam.
I love it. I was talking about that yesterday, actually.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait to do this.
Well, we got to finish this first.
Well, we only got 19 more original series episodes to
19
watch.
weeks. So that takes us to what? It's October?
Christmas.
No, September.
So September?
Yeah.
By the fall, we're going to be wrapped up here.
That'll be our fall show.
Yeah.
It's
Then
interesting
you
as
can have Adam's Trek.
and then we get to the
I'm
Adam.
hoping we can
Jody.
get Ted to watch some of these episodes too. I would
Dad,
love
would
to
you
hear
come
his
on?
impression
Would you
on
watch an Enterprise episode? And
Yeah, I'll watch one.
yeah, you'll
See
see
if I
what's
like it.
going on there. You should. And
I
you're
think
like, I
you'd
don't know
get a
what's
kick
going on
out
with
of
that
it.
Archer. What's going
I
on
think
with
you would
that
get a kick out of it.
Hoshi?
Yeah, back in 1990, this is the way things were.
I've never watched it, so I don't know.
It's from like 2001, so it's.
I thought it, oh yeah, pardon me.
Yeah. 2001 to 2005.
All right. Plus, check out our other channels, everybody. We also have Trivial Debates. We just had an epic Trivial Debates on Sunday morning. Jody
Clash
Simpson
of the
hosting
Titans.
and Adam Woodward, along with Kevin Millard and Jaemeel Robinson competing. I won't spoil it, but it was quite the battle.
It was a doozy.
Yeah, check that out. Clash of the Titans, we called it. And Adam Woodward, you'll be hosting our one for the end of June.
Excellent.
Can't wait.
So can't wait for that to.
I'm hoping I get a spot on there.
June 27th. Well, I think that can be arranged. Jody.
Okay, June 27th.
Yeah.
Start thinking about my questions.
Start thinking about it. You got a couple weeks away. So that's coming up. And then our Super Mater Brothers podcasting, where we cover other shows that are not Star Trek related, including Big Brother Canada 9. Jaemeel Robinson and I did all that season. Plus, we do shows like Survivor, as well as scripted shows, including what did we do? The Serpent, Westworld, and other things like even Tiger King. Plus, we'll be doing,
next.
huh?
Do Panic next.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
So,
I want to watch
Yeah.
Panic. It's caught my eye. I want to see that.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be doing Big Brother USA season 23 starting July 7th. So that's coming in soon.
So we got a couple more 8 p.m. episodes, and then we're back to 7 again, are we?
Yeah. So I guess we'll get we'll get four more at 8 o'clock. And then I got to go, or we can pick another night if you guys want to do it another night, Wednesday, but not Tuesday. But we could all look at that.
We're the longest running podcast on, probably. So we're going to keep where we're
This
at.
and Deep Space Nine, they started about the same time. So we've been.
The Deep Space Nine one will outlive this one, though.
It will outlive this one.
Because there isn't enough episodes compared to just 9.
Yeah, they got 3.5 more seasons.
Yeah, you got way more
Oh my
seasons.
God.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's wrap up. Actually, do you know what though? When we add up these original series episodes and the Enterprise episodes, it might equal Deep Space Nine. So
Might actually surpass it.
Deep Space Nine had a lot of quantity, but no quality. Have to leave that
I wouldn't even
to the fan.
dignify that. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Have a great night, everyone. Stay safe out there and live long and podcast. Thanks.